Hello and welcome to another Doctor's Assistant 1 video, and today I'm taking a look at the Doctor Who episode, Doctor Who, The Dalek Invasion of Earth. Here we have the BBC logo, the Doctor Who logo, Dalek Invasion of Earth, this brilliant sort of baby blue effect, or baby blue colour, and then this sort of ringed effect, which is very effective, and the sort of 60s Dalek looking awesome right on the front of the box. Or the packaging, PG, for some reason. The William Hartnell years, 1963 to 1966. William Hartnell in the Circle of Doom. Some Dalek sources and stuff, which actually in this kind of look way better than the ones in the actual episode. Big Ben and some of the other stuff. And then, same sort of stuff here, the Dalek Invasion of Earth, Circle thingy of Doom, Doctor Who. On the back, we've got the legal guff information garbage, that really is garbage, the commentaries and special features and so on, the synopsis, and then the strip of screenshots from the episode. And then in the box, in the case even, there's 2 discs and the writer's notes. And then that's about it really for packaging. So what did I think of this story? It was very iffy in the sense that, you know, from my perspective, I've seen a lot of Dalek stories, and so this came across kind of very simplistic. But then again, I was trying to think, you know, partway through, you've got to sort of try and see this as, you know, this is a really early Dalek story, for example. You know, I think it might actually be like the second or third Dalek story. Also, it's the earliest Doctor Who story that I've got in the classic series, also the oldest in that respect, as well, in the sense that, you know, starting from new series all the way back, and that. But, yeah, it's, I don't know, I wouldn't, it is a good story, it's just I wouldn't recommend it for someone who has only ever watched the new series and wants to get into classic Who, in the sense that it's one of those stories where it's very long-winded and slow. Long-winded in the sense that it's, yeah, very slow-paced, and that, granted, TV was always like that back in the 60s, I think, anyway, or to my understanding, anyway. But yeah, I think the music is actually very effective in this one. It's quite loud at times, but then again, to be fair, sometimes when it is very loud in this story, there isn't any like dialogue or anything, and the black and white as well makes it very atmospheric and dramatic. Whether or not they wanted that sort of feel, I don't know, because obviously, again, I'm coming from a person who's very used to obviously colour TV and whatnot, and so I don't know if that was actually their intention with those sort of scenes, but they were very effective. Every time the Daleks are on screen, it is captivating in some way, you know, and a lot of the camera angles, the locations, the set design, you know, it's all effective. You know, it's not all the best from classic Doctor Who, or even just Doctor Who generally, you know, in the newer series, or some of the latter half of the classics, so basically, you know, Peter Davison, Tom Bakery stuff, but it's effective and it works, and it's simplistic but effective is probably the best way to describe this story, you know. It opens up with a very quick little pre-title sequence bit, where there's saucers and London, and then it says the Dalek Invasion of Earth in this really cool sort of font, and then it cuts to the sort of Doctor Who theme music, and then the rest of the story, which I thought was a bit odd. I didn't expect that, but then again, very rarely do Doctor Who, classic Doctor Who episodes do stuff like that. You know, I think the 5 Doctors and Remembrance are 2 episodes that I can think of that have a bit at the beginning, and then the title sequence, and then the rest of the story, whereas obviously it's very much a staple of modern Who to do that in the new series, because then again, new viewers are very fickle and that, and need to know what basically is going to happen very quickly, and need that, you know, reassurance immediately. Again, the Daleks are captivating on screen whenever they're on the screen, because there's always a certain angle and a new thing being shown off. Like that bit where the Dalek comes out of the water still gives me just chills, you know, just gives me this sort of this amazing sort of joy on on my face, you know, of this is cool, this is something the new series has never done, and new Doctor Who's never done, and would never probably dare to, you know. Some of the elements in this story do get recycled in later stories. For example, the whole sort of slave thing and the mining sort of place. You kind of get that sort of feel in two stories that come to mind are Day of the Daleks and Destiny of the Daleks. But here, where in those stories, it feels very much like a characteristic of who the Daleks are now. This feels like a byproduct of the story, i.e. their motive is to do this thing regarding the Earth, and the mining thing is part of that, you know? It's not part of their characteristics. So yeah, they were extremely good. The Robo-Men were introduced in this one, I think, and this might be their only television on-screen appearance, and they were phenomenal as well. Very good. Okay, cast. What did I think of Susan? She was decent for the bits she was in. You know, she was alright. I enjoyed her more than I anticipated. I think the worst person, even though she wasn't so much bad, but she just didn't do much, was actually Barbara. Actually, I thought she did less than I anticipated. And then we have Ian, Ian and the Doctor, I thought worked really, really well. And I also, when I was watching this, I just thought it's kind of odd how in all of the rest of Classic Who, for the most part, we very much only get the Doctor with one companion, when actually the show started with a group dynamic in the sense that, you know, you've got the Doctor, Susan, Ian, and Barbara, even, you know. And again, Ian is this sort of, the more sort of 007-esque sort of action, you know, brute force sort of character. But what I really like about him is that even though he's very much toned down, you know, he's not just really stupid. He's this nice mix of, I could just smash this door down, but actually thinking about it, I might not actually do that. And the Doctor is very good here. It's the first William Hartnell story that I've really seen where he's actually doing stuff, because, as I say, the previous one that I'd watched was The 10th Planet, and obviously William Hartnell was ill in that, for the most part. And I think he is very nice, actually, from what I've heard. I expected him to be very grumpy a lot of the time. He is very grumpy at times, but when he is, I just very much feel like it's out of character, or not out of character, but just feels very much shoehorned in there. Like, the people behind the scenes were like, well, okay, who is this Doctor? Well, he's grumpy, he's intelligent, he's this and that, you know, and it just feels like an element that just needs to be there. So, like, for example, he'd be saying stuff to Ian, and then Susan would say something to the Doctor, and then the Doctor would just be getting mad. Why would he be getting mad? Just because, you know? Like, there were no context, there was no build-up, there was no actual motive for him to be angry. Again, it's talking about motives, the Daleks have motives here. They feel, again, vindictive, evil. They're a force to be reconciled. Every scene you see them in, the threatening, even if they're not doing anything really, they feel like they're threatening, because then, you know, you see the Dalek, and then it kind of like, the camera might pan over here to like some people like cowering under some debris or something, or, you know, it'll like, you know, cut to the Daleks like being on top of the Resistance like people and then killing them and stuff, because they are merciless here, you know. They're a force to be reconciled with, again, and I do adore that. Some of the sort of set stuff's, again, simplistic and a bit crummy looking, obviously, and stuff like in the background. Sometimes there'd just be cardboard like cutouts of Daleks to make it look like there was lots of Daleks and stuff. There was a lot of good exterior locations, actually, you know, of London and stuff, you know, like the car and the smash through the Daleks and stuff. It's very, again, I think it's very simplistic but effective, this story, and I like it because of that. I think if you're getting into Classic Who, this would probably not be the best story, but if you've watched enough, you know, I don't know, like 10, 20 episodes of Classic Who and not watched any William Hartnell ones, I think you could watch this one and it shouldn't be too bad. I watched it in one sitting and it was alright. It was alright. Again, I just think personally I would have chopped down quite a bit of stuff, and you know they split off a lot of the characters, and it all goes a bit haywire with that, you know, in the sense that, you know, you go from the Doctor to then Ian, and then back to the Doctor, but he's already gone from where he was to the mine shaft thing. But you know, like he'll say, "Oh, I'm going to the mine shaft," and then we cut to Ian doing something, and then the next scene is the Doctor just being at the mine shaft, and it's a bit like, oh, okay, how the hell did you get there? But okay, you know, a bit jarring in that sense. So they could have cut it down, but again, I get that they had, you know, six parts to you know, slot in and that. Yeah, the goodbye speech, you know, again, another iconic scene. It's just phenomenal, you know, it just echoes through time, really, you know. It's like William Hartnell saying goodbye to all of the future companions, you know, and it's just so brilliant, you know. I adore that speech. I adore the scene where, as I say, the Dalek comes out of the water. There are quite a lot of iconic scenes here, but then there are quite a lot of fluff pieces where not really is happening. So yeah, after all that, at the end of the day, what do I think of the Dalek invasion of Earth? I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Thanks for watching, comment, rate and subscribe.